The best way to get better at programming is to practice. In this example, we're going to build off of our previous two examples where we have a class definition, private properties, and public getters and setters. This time, we're going to move it out of our main source file and have our class in its own separate file, or as we'll see, two files. As always, this file is available for download using a link in the description below. We'll pause for a second so you can download it if you don't have this file already, and then you can follow along. Alright, so let's get started. Now this first part I'm going to show you is unique to Visual Studio. Depending upon what IDE you have, it may be slightly different. Before I go in and create my class file, I'm going to have to come over here and copy this class definition. I'm going to cut this out so it's not found in here. Save that file. Right click on my project. Go to Add. Choose Class. Type in shape. Notice it's going to create two files for me. A .h file, which is our header file, and then our .cpp. The .header file is going to define where my properties are, my method prototypes, things like that. My .cpp file is going to define all of my methods and actually have my method bodies in there. I'm going to click OK, and we're good. Notice I have my shape.h, and it has pragma once. This is important. Most modern C++ editors and compilers will recognize pragma once. If it doesn't, you need to use something called pound define and then define a variable, and then it gets a little bit more complicated because you have to check to see if a variable's already been defined. Pragma once makes this so much easier, and it's supported by almost every modern compiler, so I wouldn't worry about that. Next, notice I have my class with my body. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to replace that with what I copied before. But notice I do have some little issues in here, like for example, my string and things like that. So what am I going to do with this missing string? Well, if I come back to my source, you notice I have an include IOStream, I have using namespace standard. So I could probably pull in some of this stuff. And notice that clears it up. Okay, so I include string and namespace standard. My problem is solved. Now, notice I have my constructors and all of its bodies. I have my getters and setters and all those. Inside my .h file, I really only need my function, or in this case, method prototypes. I don't need the whole body. That's going to go into my shape.cpp file. Notice my shape.cpp file has a pound include for my shape.h. Notice that shape.h is inside of quotes instead of angle brackets. That means that it's local to this project, not part of the overall incorporation of libraries that C++ gives us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and select all of my methods and my constructors. Go to my shape.cpp file, and after my pound include, I'm going to paste them all in. Now this is going to give me some errors, so just be patient with that for a second. Notice I have my methods both in my .h and my .cpp. That needs to change, so I'm going to make these all my function and method prototypes. Okay, now you're noticing that we're having a couple of errors in here. We're going to come back and clean those up in just a second. A lot of it has to do with the fact that things aren't necessarily being found because I have my class definition, but I haven't actually defined those methods. So let's come over here and define those. How are we going to do that? Well, you notice that right off the bat it gives me this error. I'm going to say shape : So this says, okay, inside my shape.h, I have a shape here. So this is of my class, this is my constructor. The constructor has a string. Come in here. In front of every method name, in this case constructor name, I need to put shape : Now I'm not going to put it in front of this string here. I'm going to put it in front of get type. And notice this is going to solve any of my errors that I might have with this, because now it recognizes where this is coming from. It's part of this class definition. Now, you might be noticing that we have some of these errors in different types and things like that. Why is that occurring? Well, it's kind of an interesting problem. So we're going to come over here to source.cpp, and then we can say pound include I'm going to say shape.h. When I do this, it now sees as part of the greater program, has all the other includes in there. Now you'll notice that we still get these errors where string isn't allowed, double has an issue. So what we're going to do is say pound include string, and then we're going to say using namespace std. When we do the combination of those two, notice that it now finds string, it finds your doubles and all that type of stuff. There's no more errors shown there. And I can come over here and it's found. Now you might say, well, why is it found here? Well, because I'm including shape.h, it then goes out and gets string, it gets the using namespace standard, etc. So if I go and run this, if you look at the output of the previous example we had, notice that it is exactly the same, circle and square. All we did was move our class definitions into an external file, which made it a lot easier to kind of work with as far as that goes. So very simple and straightforward as far as that goes. Now this makes it a lot easier to work with, quite simply just because with an external file, it makes it easier for me to go in and split up the work amongst multiple developers. I can have a dozen different class definitions, maybe more, and I can assign each one to a different developer. Likewise, it's going to allow me to extend my class definitions a lot easier. And that's something we're going to see in an upcoming video. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a like and check out the rest of the videos in this series to learn how to get better at programming C and C++.